KHARKHORIN-47, the station that remembers you. My name is Bat-Erdene. I'm 32 years old, living in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. My life has always been straightforward, a railway maintenance engineer, dealing with rusted tracks, flickering signals, and trains rumbling across the endless steppes. I believe in logic, in things I can measure with a multimeter or fix with a wrench. Ghosts, spirits, the old folktales about Ovu, those sacred stone piles on the grasslands, they read just products of the human imagination, as far as I'm concerned. My grandmother used to tell me stories of wandering souls on the plains, but I'd always brush them off with a smile. To me, the world is made of metal, electricity, and schedules. But everything changed with that assignment to check KHARKHORIN-47, a station that doesn't exist on modern maps. Yet it keeps sending anomalous signals to the central system. And now, as I sit here trying to write this, or at least attempting to, I am not sure who I am anymore. Maybe you're reading this, and I hope you never go looking for that place. Because, if you remember it, it will remember you. It started ordinarily enough, like any other job. It was a chilly autumn afternoon in Ulaanbaatar, late October last year. I was in my cramped office at the State Railway Company, surrounded by stacks of messy paperwork and the stale smell of cold coffee. My computer hummed with reports from remote stations. My boss, Mr. Bold, a middle-aged man with a thick moustache and a gravelly voice from years of smoking, called me in. Bat-Erdene, we've got odd signals from KHARKHORIN-47. It's not on the new maps, but the old system still picks it up. Probably some Soviet-era glitch. Head out there, take your gear, check it over. 3 days max, then report back. I nodded, not thinking much of it. Abandoned stations from the Soviet times are scattered all over Mongolia. We deal with their leftovers constantly. Sand-buried tracks, outdated battery-powered signals, and yellowed documents from the 1980s. I packed my backpack with spare flashlights, a multimeter cable rolls, some dry rations, and my notebook. Before leaving, I called Altantuya, my friend who works in the Railway Archives department. We met in university. She is the type who digs into old files and sometimes spins weird tales about the industry's history. Altantuya, do you have any records on KHARKHORIN-47? I need schematics and history for a signal check. Her voice hesitated over the phone, like she was weighing whether to speak. At that station, I advise you not to go. The old files exist, but it's one of those not to be remembered places. Some Soviet-era stations, we're not supposed to dig them up. I'll send the files, but promise me you'll be careful. I chuckled, figuring she was influenced by those horror books she reads. Come on, you're worrying too much. I'm just doing tech checks. Send them over. Soon the email arrived. Scanned documents from the Soviet period, in Russian and Mongolian. KHARKHORIN-47 was built in 1975 as a transfer hub in the steppes, over 30 kilometers from the main line. It handled military cargo trains but was abandoned in 1991 when the Soviets pulled out of Mongolia. The reason for closure was curt, no longer necessary for the system. No details on accidents or incidents. I printed a few key pages, stuffed them in my bag, and hit the road in my beat-up Jeep. The drive took 2 solid days. The Mongolian steppes are vast, making you feel insignificant. Daytime brought blinding sun and swirling dust storms coating the windshield. I bounced over rutted dirt paths, stopping occasionally to check the GPS coordinates from the old files. The first night, I camped in the middle of nowhere. Winds howled like wolves, temperatures plunging below zero. I huddled by a small fire, munching on dry bread and smoked meat, my mind drifting to my father. He disappeared when I was a kid, in 1990, right around the Soviet withdrawal. He was a station guard at some remote post, maybe like KHARKHORIN-47. My mother said it was a train accident, but there was no body, no paperwork. Just a brief notice from the company, missing during duty. I've been haunted by it ever since. Dreams of him standing on a platform, signaling with a lantern, his face fading in the dust. But I pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the task. The next morning, following the coordinates, I found the station. It sat there in the empty steppes, like a grey ghost from the past. The main building was a squat concrete block, roof tiles cracked and fallen, windows fogged with dust. The tracks ran through, covered in sand and dry grass, but oddly, they were straight and unwarped. Unlike other abandoned sites, I parked a dozen meters away, stepped out, and the biting wind slapped my face, carrying scents of damp earth and rusted metal. No signs of people, no vehicles, no footprints, just the wind's whistle and distant sheep bleats from some herd. I started the inspection. The electrical system was still live, albeit flickering. Signal lights blinked red and green, as if awaiting a train. I figured someone forgot to cut the power from the main substation miles away. I measured with my tools, noting voltage stable, but strange low-frequency interference. Then, I entered the building. The main door creaked open, wooden floors groaning underfoot. Inside was pitch black, moldy air hitting my nose. Flashlight on, I swept the beam. An old desk piled with yellowed papers, a broken radio, and a wall clock, hands frozen at 2:17, unmoving. I approached, listening. It ticked faintly, but the hands stayed put, as if time had halted there. I shook my head, chalking it up to a broken mechanism, jotted it down, and checked the security cameras. Vintage models, tape-based, still recording. I rewound, blurry footage of empty steps, but at exactly 2:17, the screen glitched, like erasure. That was the first day. I decided to stay overnight to monitor the signals continuously. I pitched my tent outside the station, a few meters from the tracks, and built a fire for warmth. Winds intensified, fine sand sticking to everything. I sat there, sipping hot milk tea from my thermos, gazing at the starry sky. The steps at night are beautifully isolating. No city lights, just endless darkness. I called out on Tuya for an update. "Hey, I'm here. Power's on, but the clock's busted. Got any more info?" She sounded worried. "Bat." I dug deeper. Records show an incident in 1989, but it was scrubbed. A station guard went missing, same last name as your father. "Get out of there, don't stay the night." I laughed it off. "You're overthinking one more night." That night, sleep was fitful. Winds battered the tent, and I dreamed of my father, him on the platform in Soviet uniform, signaling green. But his face was misty, like fog, calling my name from afar. "Bat-Erdene, don't remember, don't remember." I woke the next morning with a foggy head. Sand coated the tent, and oddly, my footprints around the station seemed fainter, though the wind hadn't picked up yet. I continued exploring. Back inside, I rifled through old drawers, found the logbook, a thick, cracked leather tome. Early entries in Russian, from 1975. Train 47 stopped at 2:17, cargo secure. By the 1980s, in Mongolian, strong winds, signals stable. From 1990, the handwriting grew shaky, entries bizarre. Train stopped, but no one disembarked. Clock stuck at 2:17. The final page, 1991. I can't remember my name anymore. This station, it swallows memories. That script matched my father's straight lines, slight right tilt, from letters he sent home. My heart pounded. I snapped photos, sent them to Alf. "Look at this. The handwriting's like Dad's." She replied instantly. "Bat, it's him. The last guard was your father, but his name was erased from all systems, like he never existed. Leave now." I didn't listen. Curiosity or obsession held me. I inspected the tracks more closely, walking along them. Dry grass crunched, and under the sand, I found shattered metal bits, like old signal lamps. Then I saw him, the station guard. He appeared suddenly from behind the building, a tall, gaunt figure in faded Soviet uniform, peaked cap worn and silvered, holding a signal lantern. His face indistinct, a blur, fog-shrouded, only dull eyes visible. I shouted, "Hey, who are you? This station's abandoned." No response, just a slow nod, green light raised. Then he turned away. I chased, wind whipping my face, but he vanished around the corner. Checking the ground, no footprints in the fine sand, though I'd just stepped there. My pulse raced, but I told myself it was fatigue-induced hallucination. I filmed with my phone, but playback showed only a blur, then static. The second night, tension mounted. In the tent, monitoring signals on my device, winds screamed, tent shaking. Around 2 o'clock, a sound, a distant train whistle. At first, I thought auditory illusion, but it grew. Metal wheels on rails, steam hissing. I bolted to the platform, flashlight darting, and it arrived, an antique train, Soviet 80s style, faded red paint, halting precisely as the clock hit 2:17, windows dusty, shadowy figures inside, faces blurred like the guards, doors stayed shut, no one alighted. The guard materialized by the tracks, signaling green, and the train departed, melting into the dark steps. I stood frozen, chilled, trying to record, but my phone overheated, footage just white-black noise. I called Altentuya at dawn. I saw a train. It stopped at 2:17, and the guard, he has no face. Her voice trembled. "Bat, I found more. The station exists through memory. If no one remembers it, it vanishes, taking anyone inside. The guards are the forgotten ones. Your father, The system erased his identity. When someone's completely forgotten, they don't die. They become a function part of the station. Get out before your memories are consumed. I hesitated, but stayed another night. I delved deeper. In a drawer, old photos, my father on this platform in 1989, uniformed, face clear. Beside him, a misty shadow, like the guard. Strange memories surfaced. Night whistles, bone-chilling winds, a sense of replacement. The clock remained at 2:17. On camera, tapes showed me alone, but sometimes two figures, one sharp, one hazy. The logbook script evolved. I noted daily, but reviewing, my handwriting mirrored the old pages, as if I was writing for my father. Dreams of him. Son, don't wear the cap. Don't become me. The final night, the train stopped but didn't leave. The guard appeared, handing me the faded peaked cap. His touch icy. I put it on, and suddenly, clarity, agonizing. I saw my father. He was the guard, face faded, nodding sadly, dissolving into mist. Camera rolled. New guard, standing tall, sharp, signaling. And me, my face blurring in a shattered mirror. I tried fleeing to the jeep, but legs leaden, the station pulling me back. Phone rang, Altentuya, but I forgot her number, her name. The station lives on memory, and if no one remembers me, now, I'm here, awaiting the 2:17 train each night. Steps still windy, freezing. I write this, hoping someone reads. But don't see KHARKHORIN-47. Don't remember it, for if you do, it'll call your name, and you'll be the next guard. Or maybe, I'm just someone else's memory. The clock's at 2:17. The train's coming.